Hey everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Harmony Grove Coaches Show. I'm Dylan Word, and we'll be joined this week by Coach Ernie Horskamp, and we'll recap the 46-6 victory over the Smackover Buckaroos this past Friday night. And we'll also preview this week's big matchup against the defending 6-3A conference champion, McGhee Owls. So after this break, we'll have Coach Ernie Horskamp join us. And this break is brought to you by the Arkansas Army National Guard. And welcome back, and we're now joined by Coach Ernie Horskamp. Coach, a 46-6 victory. It was kind of the same score almost from the week before, 45-6 against Galloway, but 46-6 against Smackover, going 2-0 in conference.
Yeah, had a great week of practice and led up into Friday night. Conditions obviously weren't great, but both teams play in it, so you deal with it. Actually thought we held up in the conditions well.
Absolutely.
We lost footing a couple times. You can go out and you can, everybody saw, people lost their footing there, and hard to cut in those conditions. Yeah. But I thought we, I know we didn't throw it much, but I thought we threw the ball very well,
yes,
considering the conditions.
And we started off the game. We won the toss, we deferred to the second half, and immediately Jermaine Edwards scoops up a fumble for a touchdown.
Right. I remember sitting there at starting one, and they run a little off tackle play, and ball pops out, and Jermaine picks it up and scores from 19 yards out. I believe. Did great there. And that's one of those things, being around the football. When guys, you have a lot of defenders around the football, if it comes loose, the likelihood of you coming out with it's higher. So we were rallying to the ball, not just that play, but all night long. And picks it up, scores, gets us going right off the bat. And it's funny, because in the locker room we actually mentioned getting off to a fast start because against Dollarway, we had that big second quarter, but we didn't really get cranked up in that first quarter. We actually challenged them. Whoever took the field first, whether it was offense, whether it was defense, whoever got on the field first, let's get off to a fast start. And we definitely did that.
Absolutely.
Get that. And, get a turnover on the next possession. We have 2 interceptions and 3 fumble recoveries. I think
that's incredible.
Yeah, all in the first half. Come back and get the fumble recovery. Score again. I think it was Johnson to Garrett on the pass reception. Just see how they're playing him, and get the ball out to Landon and let him do whatever he does.
And he's a playmaker
in the open field, and he did it. Got in the end zone, went up 2 scores right there. I think the next possession, I think we get another fumble recovery on that one, and score again. I mean, it kept going. I think the third score, we'd say it was Daniel Hill. Daniel Hill scores. We're up 20-0, and I think there was still 7 minutes left.
Oh yeah, there was a lot of time left
in the first quarter. It was a lot. Talk about a fast start.
You couldn't ask for a better start.
Yeah, you can't get off to much better than that. I think Caleb Johnson got an interception later in that quarter to finish up the first quarter, and end up scoring. Tobias Hicks goes in. Did a good little touchdown run. Come back. In the second quarter, add 3 more scores. Johnson to Titus Lockhart on the long touchdown pass. I think
Jermaine Edwards had the touchdown.
Jermaine Edwards had the short touchdown run. Actually, after one had already been called back.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he had the long run down there right around the goal line. It ended up getting called back, and later on, we drive it down, and he ends up punching it in from a yard out. And then we finish up our scoring there with Johnson to his brother Gabe, Caleb to Gabe there in the, on a little slant route on 4th down, and added a couple extra points in there by Tyler McCann, and set the score at halftime 46-0. Got the sub.
Anything better out of your defense?
No, defense absolutely played great. I haven't seen, as of when we're filming this, I don't know exactly how many yards they had, but it wasn't many in the first half, especially. Got to play a lot of guys. We're showing that we have some quality depth, and starting to develop even more. I think I'm seeing some guys contribute in a bigger way as the year goes on, and like to see that.
And as I looked at some stats earlier before I came up here, Lane Davis, we got him back last week, and he actually led the team in tackles.
Yes.
He hit 9 tackles.
Yeah, you're right. Did a great
Good to
job.
have him back.
Yeah, it is. We mentioned that. He was just cleared a little over 2 weeks ago, and he's been doing a little bit of stuff, but really just weight room stuff up until 2 weeks ago, because you don't. Until you're medically cleared with a knee injury, which he was just a little over 2 weeks ago, it's hard to take a chance doing anything.
Absolutely.
And so, we kind of eased him in that first week, and I mentioned last week, we kind of spot played him against Dollarway because, even just coming back, he got so sore that first week of practice, we had to limit him in practice, and then came back and did a great job in the time against Dollarway. And so this week we knew we were going to use him even more, let him get on the field even more, and it showed. He's our blocking back, the fullback, whatever. Everybody calls him something different, H-back, whatever you want to call him. When we go to that pistol set, he's a good runner, good blocker, tackler. Like I said, he ended up leading us in tackles.
Yeah.
Didn't even start at middle linebacker.
That's crazy to think of.
And again, that's just another piece to the puzzle that we've added. Great to have him back, and I know he's happy about it.
Absolutely, and he's a good kid and a good player. Another person that I saw had a lot of tackles that usually doesn't start is Cannon Booker. He had around 8 tackles.
Yeah, it's funny. We put those stats on Max Preps and everything for that's just kind of how we keep up with them, and it totals them for us. And so after it, I went in and put all those defensive stats in from the Smackover game, and after it loads up and it has some time, I always go through and kind of look to see where our season totals, because it takes a little bit for them to total it up and update and all that stuff. So I go back and I look, and you see Hicks up there in tackles, Edwards, of course, and then I look, and Cannon Booker's one of our top 7 tacklers, 6 or 7 tacklers, and he's productive when he's on the field.
Yes.
He's on special teams. He makes a lot of tackles on kickoff team, and flies down the field. He's a physical player, has a nose for the football, and when he gets there, he does very well tackling the ball carrier.
And he's improved all the years that I've watched him play junior high. He's improved each and every year.
Yeah, and he's just he's still young. He's gonna grow, and just continue to get better, and the future's definitely bright for that.
Absolutely. Let's talk about that defensive line, because they were living in that backfield of Smackover all night long between Quentin Jones, Grant Bearden, and Walker Sweat.
Yeah,
I think they had a total of 17 tackles between them.
Oh man, yeah, they I noticed that when I was going through, I noticed that 2 of our starting linebackers, Hicks and Hill, I think they had 1 tackle apiece. And a lot of that had to do with our defensive line play. Those guys controlled the line of scrimmage all night. We actually rotate 7 guys up there.
Oh my goodness.
Between, we, of course, people notice we mix, the 3-man, the 4-man front up quite a bit, just to, depending on situation and things like that, match up. And we actually rotate 7 guys in there. You mentioned some, I know we've mentioned those guys in a couple shows here, and those guys are playing great. I don't want them to be satisfied, but and they're not. They keep working hard in practice and keep improving. And it showed. Game is won and lost in the trenches. I know that sounds like coach talk and things, but it truly is.
Absolutely. And we talked about how we needed to go out on the road and improve and play a lot better, and I believe we did so.
Yeah, that was another thing. I mentioned that last week also. Getting off to a fast start was one challenge to our team this week. The other one was going on the road and playing better, because I know that game up in Fordyce was a good game to watch, but I don't think we played close to our best. Obviously, Harding Academy didn't feel like we played very well there, and then to go to Smackover and not just win, but be dominant. And, we really were, and came out, got off to a fast start, and played very well.
We did, and defense only allowing 12 points the last 2 games. Defense is playing lights out football right now.
Yeah, they are.
And it is very good to see.
Yeah, it is. If you're going to win big, and win deep, win big games, and win playoff games, you're going to have to be able to defend good offenses, and our defense is playing very well.
And we will see a good offense this Friday night. And after the break, we'll talk about that game against the McGhee Owls. And this break is brought to you by TJC Incorporated. And we're back. And Coach Horsecamp, we speak every week about how we're up for the challenge. We're up for the challenge. We got a challenge ahead of us this Friday night. Big challenge. The defending 6-3A conference champion McGhee Owls, who actually are the state runners-up as well.
Yes, you're right. Had a great year last year. Lost one ball game. Of course, lost Harding Academy in the state finals last year. Ran through our conference undefeated. They're a handful. There's no doubt. Got some guys back, quite a few guys from that team back, and the guys that they had to replace, they've replaced them with another good football player. So, got our hands full, no doubt.
So, what can we expect when they come to Bill Manning Field, scheme-wise, offensive-wise? What can we expect?
Well, offensively, they're going to run the football. That's what they hang their hat on. They do it very well. They mix in a lot of variations of the wing tee. Kind of what you saw against Fordyce, similar to that, but that's kind of what they base from. But they'll also get into double slot, and for ones that kind of need that explained, you'll have a couple receivers outside, and you'll have those backs right outside the offensive tackles off the line, and you'll see those guys motion. So you may see the toss outside, maybe fake that toss, run the other back to the other way on a counter, and just things like that. Obviously, as mentioned, they hang their hat on running the football. They can throw it. Got a good quarterback. He replaced they had a difference maker at quarterback last year, the Owens kid who graduated, and they replaced him. With number 3, his name slips my mind right now, but he was one of their backs last year. A good football player, throws the ball decent. Maybe not quite as strong an arm as that guy from last year, because that guy last year could fling the ball downfield.
Yeah, he could.
But you see him on film. He's hitting the play action passes.
You don't see a lot of.
Yeah, and you're going to see him. You'll definitely see him Friday night. So they definitely pose some issues because you got to offensively to your defense, because you've got to defend the whole field. Just because they motion one way, they've got plenty of things coming back. So you still got to honor the backside away from the motion. Defensively, they're very aggressive. They mix it up a little more this year than what they did last year. Last year when we saw them, they were exclusively a 5-man front and being very aggressive, and they still keep that mindset defensively, but they'll mix in a little bit of forefront too, and actually put their in that 5 front. You'll see them. You won't see a safety in the middle of the field. You'll see all those guys, those secondary guys, manned up on receivers, and now they'll mix some where they actually put that safety in the middle of the field, and maybe not run just exclusively man coverage. So you'll see a very aggressive, very fast defense Friday night playing against.
So one of their playmakers is the Easter kid.
Oh yeah.
How can our defense play physical enough to stop him, because he's going to be all over the field?
Oh, you're right. You've got to account for him every play. Very dangerous. Everybody's got to be sound. When he's in one spot, he's doing a certain thing. We've got to fit the run exactly right. We can't have anybody out of position. He's one of the. I remember him from last spring in track. He's one of the top sprinters in Class 3A. And if he breaks, he's going to be tough to catch.
Hopefully, our backers and our defensive backs can
exactly. You just got to fit. You can't be out of position, because you can't. If we force it back inside, which we have to, somebody's got all those linebackers and ends. They need to be fitting right. And have him when he cuts back, and rally to the football, and make him come to a stop, and the more bodies or more hats we have around the football, the better.
Absolutely.
He's and it had hats off to him, because he is a great football player. Not taking anything away from happy for him. We're gonna have to find a way to control him, and he also will. They've moved him around in a couple different spots defensively. Also, he'll be on the field, all night long. Most of the time he's lined up at safety, actually against Lake Village, who is going to run the football almost every down. He's sitting up there on the line of scrimmage at outside linebacker. So, he's probably their best tackler. So
we have to count for him on both sides.
Oh, you got to know where number 6 is at all night long.
I'll probably be calling his name out a lot in the PA system.
Well, hopefully not in a good way for them.
Absolutely. But our defense, we talked about how physical they played the last 2 games.
Yes.
Hopefully they're living in the backfield and a lot of Hornet hats on the football, like you said.
Yeah, I think what is going on, it doesn't look like our defense is playing with any doubt right now. You know, they know their assignments. You know, when they come off the football and, you know, defensively, everybody's taught to react to a certain player. You know, you're reading your key, you know, and those guys are getting faster at that. And I think that's one reason we're just flying to the football. We're getting more comfortable with that as the year goes on. And, you know, and those guys are just closing on the football fast. And you know, we do have some speed defensively. And just, you know, makes that play even faster.
And if, you know, Easter hits that second level, he's going to be met with some speed as well from Tobias and Daniel and Jermaine as well.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I mean, we got plenty of guys that can run too. You know, it's going to see a lot of athletes on the field Friday night on both sides.
It'll be a good environment, and hopefully we have that good student section we did at the last home game, and be a great environment for high school football.
Yeah, that one a couple weeks ago was that's one of the best crowds I've seen. You know, and they've been doing this a long time now. You know, and it was electric that night, and I'd like to see that student section, home crowd come out. You know, a lot of fans. I know it was the stands were packed 2 weeks ago. The track was packed, and we need that again, and need a lot of support. And come watch us battle a very, very good football team from it.
Because it's going to be a battle, that's for sure. So we'll take a quick break, and we'll talk more with Coach Ernie Horskamp. And this break is brought to you by B&S Memorials. All right, and we're back. And Coach, we're at the halfway point of the season. 5 games in, 5 games left of the regular season. What are some positives that you've seen so far from the Hornets?
Well, I think just the obvious thing, I feel like every week we've made improvements just overall as a team. Going from our scrimmage over at Hampton against Hampton and Genoa Central all the way through last Friday night's game at Smackover. We just feel like as a team, you know, obviously I think the last 2 weeks we have shown a physicality that we did not show early, even against Junction City. You know, I think, you know, we are playing more physical on both sides of the football. You know, and that's something that, you know, great football teams do. They set the tone by being physical, and that's the style of play we want to play. We want to be the most physical football team every Friday. You know, sometimes you're going to face some teams that are going to hit you back, but you've still got to be the one that's setting the tone physically. So I feel like, you know, physicality is probably the biggest improvement that we've seen. And then hopefully, you know, we can continue to, and I also like the depth that we've shown. I know we mentioned that earlier. Just getting a lot of guys. I mentioned 7 defensive linemen every night. We play several guys at every position, and that's something that's just going to pay off as the year goes on. And you know, I know you're probably going to ask about some improvements. What I'd actually like to see is even more depth develop. Some guys that are, you know, getting a handful of snaps. We'd like to see those guys, you know, improve even more and be able to contribute in even a bigger way.
Absolutely. And we talked about how we scored 7 touchdowns against Smackover, and that depth, no one got a second touchdown. So that depth does help. Yeah,
and I think that helps us as a team as other teams prepare for us.
They can't focus on one.
Exactly. That's what I was about to say. You know, they can't just say, "Hey, we have to take away this guy," because you know there are things that teams can do. You can align to take away one thing.
Yes.
I mean, you know, if you can put, you know, a lot of guys in the box, and it's going to be hard to run the ball. But you know, fortunately, we've got some receivers that have done, you know, a great job this year. Obviously, Caleb's done a great job at quarterback, you know, throwing it. Have to, you know, be able to do that and continue to have a lot of guys be threats on the offensive side of the ball.
And you speak about Caleb. I know I speak about him almost every week, but how has he improved over the first 5 games as a sophomore? Because sophomores usually, it takes them a little bit to get in the groove of senior high football.
Yeah, he is. You know, there's always an adjustment going as you go up every level. You know, from junior high to high school. Obviously, there's a big jump from high school to any level of college football. But you know, I think what we're seeing now is, you know, in junior high, an open receiver is usually wide open. And now in high school, you know, usually an open receiver has someone close to him, and you know, he's trusting that. He's trusting if there's any window there, he can throw the football, and he's getting rid of the ball quicker.
Good deal. And he's also making plays when, you know, usually it'd be a busted play, and he's actually making something of a busted play.
Right.
So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll have closing thoughts with Coach Ernie Horskamp. And this break is brought to you by B&M Painting. And we're back, and with some closing thoughts, Coach. 7 o'clock this Friday night. We're back at home.
Right.
Gotta love it. Back at home against the McGhee Owls.
Yeah, getting to play a team like that, obviously one of the top teams in the conference, not Class 3A in Arkansas. Getting to play them at home is, love getting that opportunity to host a game like that. Our players get to play in a great environment. Our fans get to see a great football game.
Absolutely, and I was speaking to some players over the weekend. If we want to be conference champs, we got to beat the defending conference champs first.
Exactly. I mean, the road to the conference title goes through McGhee, and deservedly so.
Absolutely, they're a great ball team, great program. I have nothing but respect for McGhee, and hopefully we come out on the winning end this time.
Yeah, you're right. Last year went over there, 2020 season. I think there was, I want to say there was a hurricane nearby or something like that. It was field was in bad condition, probably a little worse than what you saw at Smackover last week. But came away with got beat 28-6, and looking for a different result this year. Feel like we prepare well. We go out and play well Friday night. We'll definitely have a shot to win.
Absolutely. Hopefully have that energy. The fans bring it, and hopefully it resonates with the players on the field.
Right.
All right, so that'll do it for this week. Thanks, Coach Ernie Horskamp, and we will see you at the game. Go Hornets.